In this video, I'm going to talk about the population error, which is UI, and the sample error, which is UI hat. Note one thing over here that see, the population error is something which you do not know. So this is unknown because we do not have the population data. But UI hat is something which is known. Okay. While you're reading simple linear regression, you will see that there are some assumptions that we have to put. Now, many students get confused with this part that they end up putting the assumptions on the sample error. Well, this is one of the things that is absolutely wrong. You never put assumptions on the sample error. I mean, think of it in this manner that sample error is something which you already know. So for example, you're going to collect the sample data. Once you collect the sample data, you will use that sample data to find the values of beta 1 hat and beta 2 hat, which are your estimators. Once you have the values of beta 1 hat and beta 2 hat, you can use those values to find the values of UI hat. So once you have the sample data, you will get to know the values of the sample errors. And if you have the values of the sample errors, why would you put any assumptions on the sample error? We put assumptions on the population error because population error is something which we do not have data on. So we put some assumptions on the mean of the population error. We also put some assumptions on the variance of the population error. We never put any assumption on the mean of the sample error, and we never put any assumption on the variance of the sample error because sample error is something which we already know. So there is no need to assume anything about that. If you want to find anything related to the sample error, you have the data, you can just use that data to find it. Okay, so this is also one of the things that you should keep in mind, that whatever assumptions you're going to encounter, the assumptions are going to be related to the population error. We do not put assumptions on the sample error. The next thing that you should keep in mind is the mathematical expression for UI hat, okay, which is the sample error. So many students do remember that UI hat is the difference between the actual Y values. So there are some actual Y values. By actual Y values, I mean the values that you have collected. So the Y values that are a part of the data that you have collected, and there is something called fitted Y values. Okay, so these are the two types of Y values that we have. The notation that we have for the actual Y values is YI, and the notations that we have for the fitted Y values is YI hat. Now, many of the students do remember this part, that UI hat is the difference between the actual Y values and the fitted Y values. They just do not remember the direction of the difference. So that means they do not remember whether we have to do YI minus YI hat or we have to do the other way around, that is Y hat minus YI. So the right answer is this. Okay, you need to keep this thing in your mind that UI hat, which is your sample error, is equal to the actual value minus the fitted value and not the other way around. Okay, so this is also one of the mistakes that I have seen many students making.